sarcastic point of view. Angle.
俺は獲物は逃がさない。
You know, it's not the worst thing that I've seen at a wedding. At least she still has a heart. Granted, it's kind of filled with evil and destruction, but still, she has a heart. Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. Welcome back to another installment of Halloween month. I am the Kaishin Okami from the Toku and Animation News Network, and tonight I'm taking a look at Garo, Yami Otura Yami. The one who shines in darkness. Koga's story had ended with Lament of the Dark Dragon. As such, now was the perfect time to introduce a new storyline for the Garo franchise, including a new warrior to don the armor of Garo. For some reason, series creator Keita Amamiya took a step away from the franchise and allowed Red Requiem's writer, Itaru Era, to helm this new series. Era would also go on to write the live-action JoJo's Bizarre Adventure movie. Bringing in a new cast of characters and storyline is a very risky move. Did Era make the right call? Watch to find out. The heroes. Our new titular hero is named Ryuga Dogai. Ryuga is the opposite of Koga in that he actually likes people. He initially travels to Vol City as a hitchhiker before having to enter it on his own due to the security at its border. Vol City is a militarized city isolated in the midst of a forest. Anyone looking to migrate to the city must go through a rigorous process. Given Ryuga is a Makai Knight, technically no one should know he is there. Regardless, he is always engaging the crowds in the city, having fun with them, playing chess, and anything else he can do to pass the time when he isn't horror hunting. Though he loves the attention he can get from others, Ryuga is not without his broody side. He doesn't trust anyone. This stems from a shattered relationship with the Makai priest that was training him to become Garo when he was a child. Ryuga was taken to an island for training by priest Barai. Barai? His name is Barai? Things are not gonna end well for him, are they? After all, we already had another character named Barai that things didn't end well for. Good luck, dude. Good luck. Ignoring that, Barai sent Ryuga to an island with a robotic dog to act as both his guardian and opponent. In the meantime, Barai and Ryuga's mother, Hakana, went on their own quest because at some point many decades ago, the Garo armor lost its luster and went from gold to mostly black. Or as I call it, glack. We don't know why it lost its golden color, when this happened, how it happened. It just did. But there is apparently a way to return it to its former glory, and that method apparently cost Hakana her life. There was no Hakana Mutata here. Worse, Barai did not even inform Ryuga of her demise until he had already succeeded in pulling the Garo sword from its stone prison.
by the power of Grayskull.
And this action is exactly why Ryuga refuses to trust anyone. He does start to change his mind as the show progresses, giving him bits of character development. He lacks the charisma of Koga and charm of Zero, but his broodiness does not take away from the show much. It also allows him to grow as a character, for we see him start to trust others, forgive Barai, and forge a bond with his team.
最初から全力でいくぞ。
Wataru Kiriyama is not the best actor on the show, but we do see his acting capabilities improve with Ryuga's personality. We do learn that his broodiness is his method of keeping others distant from him, as he does not want to experience the same emotional pain he had when he learned of his mother's death. His job is to exterminate horrors, and he is going to do it by any means necessary. I said horrors, not whores. Oh, okay, never mind. This act gets him scolded almost instantly by Barai and those who have been summoned to assist Barai in cleaning out Vol City's horror problem. Even Zaruba can't stand him at the start and refuses to even converse with him.
おい、なんとか言えよザルバ。わかったよ。
It's okay though. Zaruba seems to be showing his age several times throughout.
それもよしあしだな。周りは頼りにならない騎士だらけだ。
龍河は頼りにならないか。
まだまだ坊やだ。話す気にもなれないね。お前たち小僧には教えてやらなければいけないことが山ほどある。
Okay, Boomer. The remaining two Makai Knights to join Ryuga are Agari Kusagami and Takeru Jakuzure. You should recognize both actors as Agari Tsunenoi Aoki played mad scientist Ryoma Sengoku in Kamen Rider Gaim, while Junya Ikeda was Gokai Silver.
きっとこの近くだ。違う。龍河が目指している場所はここじゃない。龍河が向かっている場所はガロー県だ。バカ言えよ。あんな体でどうやって。あいつはバカだ。
Sadly, both actors seem to be scumbags, as Tsunenori was arrested in 2018 for sexual assault. Last year, Ikeda disguised himself as a police officer and swindled money from a 60-year-old man, which resulted in his arrest. It is just shocking that both actors from the same show clearly failed to understand the characters they were portraying. No wonder those characters were never given their own spin-offs or anything. The actors are fucking pieces of shit. Ikeda overacts ridiculously poorly throughout the show, although this might have been due to Agari being just as much of a brooder as Ryuga. As if that wasn't bad enough, these characters have very little in the way of development. All we really know about Takeru is that he is a womanizer who ends up falling in love with a girl who loses her family and memory and has a bombastic personality.
よろしいんじゃないでしょうか。
多分いい人かなって。
いい人？俺が？
私、須崎瑠衣です。
可愛い名前だね。
We are never even told how he became the Makai Knight Zen. Not that there is anything Zen about him. For Agari, it is stated he is from a dynasty of warriors who don the armor of the bow-wielding guy, but this dynasty is never discussed. There is an episode where Ryuga questions why he doesn't use his arrows as a melee weapon when necessary, and he says something along the lines of it going against his pride.
こうすればいいよ。ほらね。
However, that means absolutely nothing to us, the viewer, because we know zilch about the Kusagami. That would have been the perfect opportunity to educate the audience on his dynasty, only for it to not happen. I like the idea of having a Makai Knight who specializes in range attacks. I just wish we had actually gotten to know more about him. His one shred of development is when he realized Ryuga was right.
俺はまだ折れちゃいない。
Later, he is mocked for that decision, which again is lost on the viewer as to why it is a big deal.
何がおかしい？
いやだって名手なのにさ、矢をいらないで束ねてお前こんなことしてただろあの時。こんなこと。落ち着け。
Barai has lived a hard life, having to deal with the guilt of not being able to protect Hakana while also trying to raise Ryuga and a priestess named Rian, who lost her dad when Hakana died. Rian, played by fashion model Miki Nanri, has come to Vol City with Barai to take out the horror threat. She wields the typical brush all Makai priests carry, along with a gun that utilizes specially made bullets that can kill weaker horrors. There's also these weird, like, runes that appear around the gun, as if it's some sort of video game. She is somewhat of a gold digger as she is only interested in rich men.
金持ちしか相手にしないくせに。
当然でしょ。貧乏は嫌なの。貧乏な男なんて最悪。
男は金かよ。
Her reasoning is because she is sick of living the life of a poor person and wants to indulge in luxury for a change. Naturally, Ryuga calls her out on it, so of course she starts to develop feelings for him.
ねえ龍河。
今度はなんだよ。
龍河、私と赤ちゃん作らない？
はあ？いきなりか。
だって龍河と私の赤ちゃんならきっと最強よ。
While Nanri does at times struggle with her performance of Rian, I will say that Rian outmatches Rekka from Red Requiem and Makai Senki by light years. She's actually a competent character who doesn't feel like a complete idiot most of the time.
私は別に魔界法師になりたかったわけじゃないわ。それでも厳しい修行に耐えて魔界法師になったのはバカにしてきた奴らを見返したかったからよ。貧乏なんて最悪。弱い男なんて大っ嫌い。だからお金持ちしか相手にしない。力のある強い男しか相手にしたくないの。
Kohei Otomo is the one who portrays Barai, and he does a great job at it.
それでも俺は必ず守ると約束したんだ。
じゃあ龍河のことは、儚がお前と交わした一番の約束は龍河を強い魔界騎士にすることじゃなかったのか。
Barai fully trusts his team and will often sit back and let them do their thing unless he feels his presence is absolutely necessary. He also tends to plot their next plan of action when it comes to horrors they face. The villains. Don't let the ads and fake news fool you. Vol City is the capital of villainy. Oh, it's very villainous. The villains are so bad. Oh my god. And Hannibal Lecter's like there or something. And the other people that you shouldn't be around are there. It's full of illegal immigrants and stuff. There's these guys. They're like dressed up as knights. They're very terrible people. Oh my god, they're very terrible people. The city is run by a rich family known as the Kaneshiro Group. Every business, every building, every news report, every employee, everything belongs to the Kaneshiro Group. As such, it is only obvious that the Kaneshiro Group would be the ones responsible for the horrors of the night, right? That's the mystery our Makai Quintet have to uncover as they dive deep into Vol City's underbelly.
金城一族の長、金城元帥は中央から分立した完全な独立地区をここに作った。完璧な理想郷だよ。医療費も教育費もただ、税金も物価も安い、物騒な事件もない。
No one truly knows how far the rabbit hole goes. And sadly, talking about the horrors of the city is going to require some spoilers. I'm going to try to keep them to a bare minimum. I just wanted to warn you just in case. It is revealed that Vol City is inhabited by two different types of horrors. The first are karmic horrors. Karmic horrors are only able to operate at night and possess their victims. Unlike in the previous series, the horror takes on the form of a human with only its face changing. And henceforth, I dub the Las Plagas horror. The reason I call them Las Plagas horrors is because they remind me of the villagers from Resident Evil 4 and 5 who were implanted with the Las Plagas parasite and only their head would change. The rest of their body remained human looking. The Las Plagas horrors are hands down the most boring monsters I have found in the Garo franchise. Where is the excitement in watching monsters that remain in human form outside of their mouths opening differently as if they were the predator? Not to mention the mouths are all CGI rather than done practically. If I wanted to watch plainclothes supervillains, I would bore myself with the MCU. I watch Garo to see freaking kick-ass looking monsters fighting kick-ass looking knights in armor. Anyway, the second type, magic horrors, are akin to the traditional horrors found in the previous 2 seasons, for they take over their hulls completely and have a monster form, who are also 100% CGI. But more on that later. The majority of the magic horrors look the same, with only the major villains having their own unique designs. It's yet again frustrating because one of the best things about Garo was every monster having their own distinctive look. Now, it's like the Makai Knights are just fighting a bunch of video game cannon fodder. There is a tragedy about the magic horrors, as they were not all created by their own choice. Some were innocent people turned into a horror.
俺は人の魂なんか好まない。なのになぜだ。なぜあなたは俺をこんな姿に変えた。
何をブツブツ言ってんの。
One other aspect of the magic horrors is that every time they are hit, a golden light emits from them, causing a reaction out of the Garo armor. The big bads I mentioned include a news reporter named Rivera, and Ho, the commander of a military group, and Kanashiro's personal bodyguard, Sanshi.
おはようございます。書類を拝見できますか。おめでとうございます。ボルシティはあなた方を歓迎します。
Apparently no one outside the Kanashiro group and our knights have last names. Yasuaki Kurata gives us a man of action with little to say. He is the strongest of the trio, to the point where he is able to match all 3 Makai Knights at one time.
無能な魔界騎士が3人か。
Kurata launched his career in the 1971 Shaw Brothers film Angry Guest, and has been a staple of martial arts entertainment since. He was even friends with Bruce Lee, so it makes sense why Ira would utilize Kurata's talents as a martial artist here. Sanshi pulls no punches, which gives us some of the best fight sequences of the entire show. Rivera uses the media to cover up any crimes that may occur in the city, the exception being when she was able to frame Ryuga for murders he did not commit, making him a fugitive.
先ほどボルシティ治安維持部隊 SG-1 は自称道外龍河を殺人犯と断定、公開指名手配しました。
This luxurious lunatic is portrayed by Kumi Amura, who starred in Ryukendo.
冷静さに欠け資料が浅い。あなたには真実を伝える力なんてない。
As for Enho, she leads Vol City's military force known as SG-1. SG-1? Does that mean our horrors are coming from the Stargate?
なんなんだこれは。この俺様も見たことがないぞ。
Or does SG stand for Silver Guardians? Maybe Vol City used to belong to the Collins family? Seriously, SG-1's job is to patrol the city's borders on top of tackling any threats that may arise. They wear cool skull masks that are undermined by generically boring tan shirts and pants. While SG-1 is not a force of evil, they are led to believe Ryuga is an enemy of the state, and are therefore treated as villains to his cause. Having a horror order them around, even if it is not known to them, doesn't help the situation either. Enho is a tragic character because at the start of the series she is all about doing the right thing and saving those in need.
正しくありたい。そのためには 強い力が必要だからだ。
素敵ね。あなたの子供を見たくなっちゃう。
And then gets turned into a horror against her will and being controlled by those in charge. Memeko Sakata did a pretty good job at showing both sides to Enho. Sakata has done several Toku projects in the past, such as being Ai and Toku in Kamen Rider Decade, basically Ichijo's female counterpart for the Kuga and Agito worlds. And she was also a part of Ryukendo.
だからやめろと言った。
いつからなの？
お前から道外龍河の情報を聞き出そうと思ったが、残念だ。
The major players of the Kaneshiro family includes Kensui and his son Tosei. Everyone should recognize Tosei, for he is portrayed by Kanji Suda. Suda has appeared in Kamen Rider Ryuki, Ju-On the Grudge, Shin Godzilla, and many other films and shows. He seems to be having a lot of fun here with Tosei as he gets to act very childish at times.
手に持ってる武器は伊達かそれ。何してるほら、さっさと切れ。切ってくれ。
Tosei owns a steakhouse because he wants nothing to do with his dad's business, or so he claims. Alternatively, Toshiyuki Kitami plays Kensui.
すぐに手を打ちます。
You may have seen Kitami in Suicide Club, Kamen Rider the First, and the Sky High movie. Tosei ends up befriending Ryuga and offers his assistance to uncover the secrets his family may be hiding.
実はちょっと思うところがあってな。化け物には金城健水が関わってるかもしれん。
This includes the ultimate horror, Zeda, who is pretty much like Messiah and Ganon in the previous series. Don't be a square, man! Cube your enthusiasm. Aw, he's so cube! The effects and music. The effects and music are all over the place in this show, and that is thanks to the excessive amount of CGI. All of the Garo armored scenes are CGI. All of the horrors are CGI. This means the fights are all CGI. Even freaking flower petals are CGI. I just don't understand why they felt the need to have CGI armors when it meant their suited fight scenes were going to be limited to mere seconds of screen time in most episodes. I did not have to edit a single piece of that fight at all. It is that short. Like, what the hell, man? That's how freaking lame most of the fights in this show are. You will spend an entire episode waiting for the big battle to occur against a horror, only to have all of that build up fruitless when this is the outcome.
What the hell?
And this is a constant issue throughout The One Who Shines in Darkness's entirety. It's so goddamn annoying. There are some pretty cool fights.
Horror じゃない。騎士のあんたと戦いたかった。くだらん。尊敬するよ。その強さ。だけど俺はあんたを倒す。
However, for as cool as the fight choreography is for this battle in a moving train, it is hindered by the subpar looking CGI. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? Was it a money-saving measure? Did they think they could make fights better with CGI suits? Is it because they didn't have Amameya's talents present? There's not even a lot of interesting camera angles, atmosphere, or even suspense in the way the whole show is filmed. Film grain is hardly present. The show looks way too clean, way too glamorous for a show aimed at horror. It lacks interesting backgrounds, creative-looking creatures, things that define Garo. This inane decision-making is the biggest detractor to the one who shines in darkness. They ruined a solid story experience with such goddamn bullshit. Yoshichika Kiriyama and Shiho Terada were in charge of the show's score, and they gave us a lot of spectacular pieces of composition. While I can't say they were remotely close to my favorite tracks in the franchise, they perfectly fit with what is happening on screen.
それと思う存分戦え。よっしゃー！行くぞ。首塚に行って何としても奴の魂を鎮める策を探し出す。
Like with every Garo show, there are 2 openings and 2 closings. I will say that they are easily the weakest of the themes I have heard across the show's first 4 seasons. The first is just a piece of music from Kiriyama and Terada, which is fine. Like I said, it doesn't have the same energy as the previous openings, but it works. Gem Project helms the second opening used in episodes 14 onward, titled Ishuhoku so Kahatsu. I'm really unsure as to how I feel about this one. The audio sounds distorted at the beginning of it, which comes off more distracting to me than musical. Barai's Kohei Otomo sings the first ending theme, So Long. I will say it does kind of fit with that Western flair the show seems to be trying to invoke into its narrative. Gem Project tackles the second ending, Platonic, with Masami Akue on vocals. It's a pretty sappy and boring as hell song. My guess is they wanted to have something to lull the viewer to sleep each week given the show was aired late night. The episodes. There are a lot of frustrations I have with this show. Despite being called a Garo series, it has a serious lack of horror within it. It feels more like a science fiction show is merged with the tones of the American Wild West that retains elements of horror rather than a show dedicated to horror with pieces of sci-fi included. Worse, the shortage of in-suit action does not help. It was already bad enough the suits were all CGI, but resorting battles to mere seconds, if they happen at all, was a huge disappointment for a show centered around suit action. Gone is the time limit too, though that may be due to the fact that you can count how many battles last more than seconds on one hand. There's also not much in the way of standalone episodes to really get a feel for this new world either, which means there isn't enough downtime to truly get to know Vol City and its inhabitants beyond the bare minimum. For being a futuristic city, nothing truly feels like it is from the future. Now maybe that was the point, given how the 80s often portrayed the 2000s as if some huge revolution occurred, when that has not been the case. Yet, I read somewhere that the series takes place during the 23rd century, and as such, they could have dived a little bit deeper into the realm of science fiction since they were already going there. Either way, if they were going to introduce us to a new setting, we should have been given the full tour. Why are there dilapidated buildings in what is supposed to be the most advanced city in Japan? What is the purpose of the goddess statues that are spread throughout? Does everyone know they sing, or just some people? Well, whatever. The episodes tend to be entertaining despite the lack of suit action, and the mystery surrounding the city is interesting. However, like I said, they lack that horror punch that really made me love the previous seasons. The only episode I felt truly had that horror feel to it was episode 14's Hyena. Ryuga and Ryan are exploring a cemetery that is supposedly haunted. There appears to be a hooded figure patrolling the grounds that kills anyone who dares enter. He's creepy, the creepiest character of the entire show. Ryuga and Ryan confront the dude, who divulges the truth about how magic horrors are made to them.
魔導ホラーは誰かの手によって作り出されている。作ったものは元に戻せるってわけだ。
Aguri and Takuru are then sent out on a quest by the hyena, while Ryuga makes sure he doesn't try anything malicious in the process.
お前、部屋の主がホラーだと知ってたんだな。
It's a pretty clever episode that also reveals to us who the final boss of the show is, and features a first-person scenario that was interesting.
一息に食らいたいところだが、俺の相棒は魔界騎士をコレクションしててな。お前を差し出せば。
The only negative is that it has yet again another quick battle sequence. Now, my least favorite episode is going to be based on how disappointed I was with the outcome of the episode. There is a solid two-parter towards the beginning of the series titled Dream and Nightmare. It has a Las Plagas horror who can travel through radio signals, and our heroes have to find a way to stop him from fleeing every time they appear. There is a B-plot revolving around Enho, as this is where things really turn for the worse for her, which is done well. The problem resides in all of that build-up being a complete waste because the final battle against the horror is over before you can even enjoy it. Like, what the fuck? I don't understand the point in having a horror feature throughout 2 episodes if the climactic showdown was not even going to be epic. At least it has good music going for it, so there's that, right?
隊長、二手に分かれる。B班は周囲のビルに回れ。
The One Who Shines in Darkness may have been inferior to the Koga seasons, but it did feature solid bits of entertainment and drama. Its biggest detractors lie in its fight sequences, lack of horror, and excessive use of CGI. Thus, I have no choice but to give Garo, The One Who Shines in Darkness, a painful 3 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. Had they not dropped the ball at all on the franchise's biggest selling points, I would have easily given this show a 4. Let's just hope the next installments in Ryuga's adventures do the franchise justice. Until next time, bye.